The morning dawned like any other on Earth. Blue skies stretched over New York City, rain fell in London, and the sun baked the deserts of North Africa. No one knew that this ordinary Tuesday would change human history forever. High above the planet, space rippled and tore as 27 massive ships pushed through into normal space. Each ship was the size of a small city, black and gleaming with strange purple lights pulsing along their hulls. Admiral Vexthar of the Calaxian Armada stood on the command bridge of his flagship, the dreadnought Inevitable Victory. His 6 eyes narrowed as he studied the blue-green planet displayed on the massive viewscreen. Earth looked small and defenseless. "Magnificent," he said, his voice like stones grinding together. "Another world for our collection." His second-in-command, Sub-Commander Zixara, bowed slightly. "The fleet awaits your orders, Admiral." Vexthar's gray skin rippled with pleasure. The Calaxians had conquered over 50 planets across 3 galaxies. Earth would be just one more easy victory. "Scans complete, Admiral," reported Science Officer Mexalora, her forearms moving quickly across the control panel. "The planet is rich in resources. Water covers most of the surface. Many valuable metals in the crust. The air is perfect for our needs after we make some small changes." "And the locals?" Vexthar asked, clicking his sharp teeth together. "Simple 2-legged creatures called humans. They are weak. Their technology is primitive. They have only visited their own moon. Their weapons are nothing compared to ours. They will not be able to fight back." The Admiral walked to the front of the bridge. The viewscreen showed Earth turning slowly below them. So beautiful, so helpless, so unaware of what was coming. "Move the fleet into position," he ordered. "One ship over each major city. Show them our power." The alien ships spread out around the planet. Their massive shadows fell over New York, Beijing, London, Moscow, Tokyo, and other cities. People looked up and saw strange shapes blocking the sun. Fear spread across Earth like wildfire. At NASA headquarters in Houston, Texas, Frank Nelson ran into the main control room. Sweat soaked his shirt, and his hands shook as he grabbed the back of a chair. "What the hell are those things?" he asked, pointing at the radar screen. Susan Wright, the head of NASA's Deep Space Tracking Team, looked up from her computer. Her face was pale, and dark circles showed under her eyes. She hadn't slept since the strange objects had appeared on their scanners. 3 hours ago. "They're ships, Frank, not ours, not anyone's from Earth." Frank's mouth went dry. "You mean?" "Yes. We are not alone. And they're here." All around the room, phones started ringing. News stations were calling. The government was calling. Everyone wanted answers that NASA didn't have. In San Diego, California, Navy pilot Ryan Cooper was eating breakfast when his phone buzzed. The message was simple: "Report to base immediately. This is not a drill." 20 minutes later, he stood in a crowded briefing room with 30 other pilots. Captain Greg Evans walked to the front, his face grim. "Gentlemen, ladies, I'm going. To cut to the chase. There are alien spacecraft in orbit around Earth. We've been ordered to prepare for possible action." The room erupted in voices until Evans held up his hand. "I know how it sounds. But look at this." He turned on a screen showing live footage from a space telescope. The alien ships hung in orbit, enormous and threatening. "My God," someone whispered. At the White House, President Deborah Harris sat in the Situation Room surrounded by her advisors. The Secretary of Defense, John Miller, was giving a report that no president had ever expected to hear. "Madam President, we've tried to establish communication, but they're not responding. The Joint Chiefs recommend we move to DEFCON 2. The President rubbed her temples. "Do we have any idea what they want?" As if in answer, every electronic device on Earth, phones, radios, TVs, computers, suddenly broadcast the same message. Harsh, deep voice spoke in perfect English. "People of Earth, we are the Calaxian Armada. Your world has been selected for incorporation into our empire. You have 24 Earth hours to surrender all governmental authority and prepare for occupation. Resistance is futile and will result in immediate planetary sterilization." The message repeated in every language on Earth. In a small diner in Iowa, farmer Pete Wilson watched the message play on the TV above the counter. The entire restaurant fell silent. "Well," Pete said finally. I guess the cattle mutilation folks weren't so crazy after all. No one laughed. At the Pentagon, General Richard Coleman called an emergency meeting. Military leaders from around the world joined by secure video link. Their faces showed the same mix of shock and determination. Ladies and gentlemen, General Coleman began, we face an unprecedented threat. These aliens clearly have technology far beyond our own. Their ships are positioned to strike our major population centers. On screens around the room, satellite images showed the alien vessels hanging over cities worldwide. Millions of people were fleeing, clogging highways and back roads. Colonel Kate Murphy, head of a little-known division called Special Projects, cleared her throat. Sir, I believe Protocol Omega is our only viable response. The room fell silent. Most of the people present had never heard of Protocol Omega. Explain, ordered General Coleman. Protocol Omega was established 60 years ago, sir, after an incident in Ohio that was covered up. We've been preparing for this possibility for decades. Coleman's eyes widened slightly. You're saying we have a plan for alien invasion? More than a plan, sir. We have a trap. Outside the Pentagon, people watched the sky with fear. News helicopters circled below the massive alien ship hovering over Washington, D.C. Its hull was covered in strange symbols that seemed to shift and change as people watched. In orbit, Admiral Vexthar waited impatiently for Earth's surrender. He had conquered many worlds, and they always surrendered quickly when they saw his fleet. Any response yet? He asked. Nothing official, Admiral, reported Communications Officer Dexmol. We're picking up a lot of chatter among their military forces, but no formal answer to our demands. Vexthar frowned. This was unusual. Most species begged for mercy by now. Perhaps they need a demonstration, he said. Prepare the primary weapon. Target their moon. Let's show them what happens to those who hesitate. As the alien weapon powered up, deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, a team of scientists and military personnel gathered in a hidden facility that officially didn't exist. General Coleman's face appeared on their main screen. Is Protocol Omega ready? Dr. Alan Price, a brilliant physicist who had dedicated his life to the secret project, nodded. Yes, sir. We can activate the system whenever you give the order. Do it, Coleman said. Simply, it's time to spring the trap. As the Calaxian ship aimed its weapons at Earth's moon, something strange happened. Hidden satellites all around the planet suddenly powered up. These satellites had been disguised as ordinary communication devices or space junk for decades. Now they revealed their true purpose. Dr. Alan Price typed commands furiously on his keyboard in the underground facility beneath the Rocky Mountains. Screens around him showed the alien fleet in orbit. His fingers flew across the keys, activating systems that had waited silently for 60 years. Systems coming online, he announced. Activation at 90%. Next to him, Patricia Daniels, the president's science advisor, watched with wide eyes. She had only learned about Protocol Omega 3 days ago, when the first signs of the alien fleet appeared on deep space scanners. How is this possible? She asked. How could we have built all this without anyone knowing? Alan smiled grimly. It wasn't easy. Everything had to be hidden in plain sight. The truth about Protocol Omega began in 1964, when a small spaceship crashed in a cornfield outside Columbus, Ohio. The military quickly secured the area and covered up the incident. What they found inside the wrecked ship changed human history. A single alien survivor, not a Calaxian but a being from Proxima Centauri. The alien, later called Ixtara, recovered from its injuries and delivered a warning. Dangerous species like the Calaxians roamed the galaxy, conquering and destroying worlds. Earth would eventually be targeted. Instead of panicking, world leaders made a bold decision. They would prepare a trap, using the advanced knowledge Ixtara provided. For the next 60 years, while ordinary people went about their lives through wars, political changes, and technological advances, a secret project was underway. Military bases that appeared normal on the surface contained hidden levels with advanced weapons. Ordinary satellites carried secret components. Old oil platforms housed powerful energy generators. And deep beneath the oceans, Massive machines waited to be activated. All of it was disguised as normal human technology, carefully designed to look primitive to outside observers. The Calaxians would see exactly what they expected to see. An easy target. In the hidden facility, Alan Price pressed the final key. Protocol Omega is now active. Around the planet, the trap began to spring. On the Calaxian flagship, Admiral Vexthar was preparing to fire on Earth's moon when alarms suddenly blared across the bridge. "Admiral," shouted the tactical officer, "unknown energy signatures detected from the planet's surface." "Impossible," Vexthar snapped. "Their technology is primitive. They can't—" His words were cut off as the ship shook violently. Lights flickered, and crew members were thrown from their stations. "What happened?" Vexthar demanded, pulling himself up from the floor. "We've been hit," reported the damage control officer. "Forward shields down to 60%. "By what weapon? Where did it come from?" "Unknown, Admiral. The energy signature doesn't match anything in our database." Vexthar rushed to the tactical display. What he saw made no sense. All around Earth, energy readings were appearing where there had been nothing before. Hidden weapons were revealing themselves, and they were far more advanced than anything humans should possess. "It's a trap," he whispered. In orbit around Earth, the Calaxian fleet found itself under attack from all sides. Satellites that had appeared harmless now fired concentrated energy beams. Strange devices rose from the oceans, creating gravitational distortions that prevented the alien ships from maneuvering properly. In Washington, D.C., President Deborah Harris watched the battle unfold on secure monitors. Military leaders from around the world joined by video call, coordinating the global defense network they had built together in secret. "The South American defense grid is online," reported the Brazilian general. 3 alien ships disabled over the Atlantic. "Asian sector responding at full capacity," added the Chinese commander. 2 more enemy vessels contained in high orbit. The president turned to Defense Secretary Paul Martinez. "How long can they hold out?" "Not long," Martinez replied, studying the tactical displays. "Their shields are failing. They clearly weren't expecting any real resistance." In the hidden Rocky Mountain facility, Alan Price monitored the global defense system. Next to the main screen showing the battle in orbit was a smaller display showing a secure room in Switzerland. In that room sat Ambassador Ixitara, the alien, who had warned humanity 60 years earlier. Unlike the insect-like Calaxians, Ixitara looked almost human, except for pale blue skin and large almond-shaped eyes. The alien watched the battle with an expression of sad satisfaction. "Your plan is working perfectly," Ixitara said through the video link. "The Calaxians are confused and disorganized." "Thanks to you," Alan replied. "Without your warning and your technology, we wouldn't have had a chance." Ixitara nodded slowly. "My people underestimated the Calaxians. Our world paid the price. I could not let the same happen to Earth." On the Calaxian flagship, chaos reigned. 3 of their ships had already been disabled, and the others were taking heavy damage. "How is this possible?" Vexthar shouted as another explosion rocked the ship. "They're just humans. They shouldn't have this technology." Science Officer Mexalora worked frantically at her station, analyzing the weapons being used against them. Her forearms moved so quickly they blurred. "Admiral," she said finally, her voice shaking, "I've analyzed their defense system. The energy signatures, they're not human technology." "What?" "They're Proximan design. Somehow the humans have Proximan technology." Vexthar's 6 eyes widened in shock. "That's impossible. We destroyed the Proximan civilization 300 years ago." "Apparently not completely, sir." In the White House Situation Room, General Coleman reported the latest developments. "The Calaxians are in full retreat, Madam President. They're trying to regroup their forces over the Pacific Ocean." "Perfect," the President replied with a grim smile. "Activate the gravity wells." Across the planet, operators received the command and entered their activation codes. Beneath the oceans, massive machines that had been disguised as deep-sea research stations powered up, creating localized gravitational distortions. The effect was immediate. The Calaxian ships, already damaged and struggling to maintain position, found themselves unable to move. The gravitational fields created by the hidden machines trapped them in Earth's orbit. "They're contained, Madam President," reported General Coleman. "The Calaxian fleet is completely at our mercy." President Harris straightened her jacket and turned to her communications director. "Open a channel to their command ship. It's time to give them our terms." As the communication link was established, Admiral Vexthar appeared on the main screen. The once confident alien commander now looked shaken and angry. "Admiral Vexthar," President Harris began, her voice steady and clear. "This is President Deborah Harris of Earth. Your invasion has failed. Your fleet is disabled and trapped in our orbit. You have 1 hour to agree to our terms of surrender, or we will have no choice but to destroy your vessels." Vexthar's alien face showed a mix of rage and disbelief. How? How did you primitives defeat us?" The President allowed herself a small smile. "We're not as primitive as we wanted you to believe, Admiral. Earth was never the easy target you thought it was. It was a trap, one you walked right into." Admiral Vexthar paced the damaged bridge of his flagship. Smoke filled the air and injured crew members were being carried to the medical bay. 5 of his ships had been completely disabled. The others were trapped by Earth's strange gravity weapons, unable to escape orbit. "This cannot be happening," he muttered. In 300 years of conquest, the Calaxian Armada had never known defeat. They had destroyed civilizations far more advanced than Earth was supposed to be. How could we have been so wrong? Science. Officer Mexalora approached cautiously. "Admiral, I've completed my analysis of their defense systems." "Tell me," Vexthar demanded. "The technology is definitely Proximan in origin," she explained. "But it has been modified, improved upon. The humans didn't just copy it, they understood it and made it better." Vexthar slammed his fist onto a nearby console. "The Proximans were supposed to be extinct. We wiped them out centuries ago." "Apparently, some survived, Admiral. And they found allies in these humans." On Earth, world leaders gathered in a secure underground facility beneath the United Nations building in New York. The room was protected from all forms of surveillance, with technology designed to block even the most advanced Calaxian sensors. President Deborah Harris of the United States sat at the large round table with leaders from Russia, China, the European Union, and 20 other nations. They all looked tired but determined. "The Calaxians have asked for a meeting," announced UN Secretary-General Caroline Weber. "They want to discuss terms." "They're stalling," said the Russian president, hoping for reinforcements. General Richard Coleman shook his head. "Our deep space scanners show no sign of additional Calaxian vessels, and even if reinforcements are coming, they're months away. The nearest Calaxian outpost is in the Andromeda." Congress President Harris leaned forward. "What are our options?" Dr. Alan Price, who had joined the meeting from his facility in the Rocky Mountains, pulled up holographic displays showing the trapped Calaxian fleet. "Their ships are disabled but not destroyed," he explained. "We could finish them off with the orbital defense grid, but that would kill thousands of Calaxians. They would have shown us no such mercy," the Chinese premier pointed out. The room fell silent as everyone considered this truth. The Calaxians had come to conquer Earth, to enslave or kill billions of humans. Yet the thought of executing thousands of defeated enemies didn't sit well with anyone in the room. "Perhaps there is another way," said a soft voice. All eyes turned to Ambassador Ixtara, the Proximan alien who had lived on Earth for 60 years. Ixtara's blue skin seemed to glow under the room's lights, and the alien's large eyes reflected a deep sadness. "The Calaxians are warriors, but they respect strength," Ixtara continued. "Show them that you are powerful yet merciful, and you may gain not just their surrender, but their respect." In a small conference room aboard the International Space Station, which had been specially modified for the meeting, Admiral Vexthar faced President Harris across a simple table. The space station had been chosen as neutral ground. Both sides had agreed to bring only 3 representatives each. President Harris was joined by Secretary-General Weber and Ambassador Ixtara. Admiral Vexthar had brought his second-in-command and science officer. When Vexthar saw Ixtara, his 6 eyes widened in shock. "A Proximan," he hissed. "So it's true. Your kind still lives." Ixtara nodded calmly. "A few of us survived your genocide, Admiral. I have spent the last 60 Earth years helping these humans prepare for predators like you." President Harris raised her hand for silence. "We are not here to discuss the past, but the future. Your fleet is disabled. Your invasion has failed. We could destroy your ships and everyone on them, but we choose a different path." She activated a small device on the table, projecting a hologram of the solar system. "These are our terms. First, complete and unconditional surrender of all Calaxian forces. Second, you will share your star charts and the locations of all worlds you have conquered. Third, you and your crews will be detained on Earth while we help those worlds regain their freedom." Vexthar's face showed rage, but his voice remained controlled. "And why would we agree to these terms? We could fight to the death. And you would die," Secretary General Weber said simply. "Is that what you want for your people? Complete destruction?" "There is another option," Ixtara added. "One that your pride might find more acceptable." The Proximan slid a data crystal across the table. "This contains information about a new coalition forming in the galaxy. Species that have been threatened or attacked by empires like yours. If the Calaxian people join this coalition as equals, not conquerors, you might find a better future than the one you've been pursuing." Vexthar looked at the data crystal but didn't touch it. "You expect me to believe that after centuries of war between our peoples, you would offer peace?" "Not just peace," President Harris said. "A new beginning. The choice is yours, Admiral. But choose quickly. Our patience is limited." Back on Earth, the world waited anxiously for news of the meeting. In homes, schools, and workplaces around the planet, people watched news reports about the alien ships still hanging in the sky. In a small diner in Iowa, Farmer Pete Wilson sat at the counter, drinking coffee and watching the TV mounted on the wall. "You think they'll really surrender?" asked the waitress Linda. Pete shrugged. "If they're smart, they will. Whatever we hit them with up there, it worked pretty good." "I still can't believe the government kept all this secret for 60 years, Linda said, shaking her head. "All those conspiracy theories about hidden alien technology. Turns out they were true." At NASA headquarters in Houston, Frank Nelson and Susan Wright monitored communications from the space station. When the message finally came through, Susan let out a whoop of joy. "They're surrendering. The Calaxians have accepted our terms." Frank collapsed into his chair with relief. "Thank God. I wasn't sure how much longer our defenses would hold." The truth was, Protocol Omega had pushed Earth's technology to its limits. The weapons and shields were powerful, but couldn't have lasted in a prolonged battle. The quick victory had been essential. 3 days later, the first Calaxian prisoners were brought to a special facility built in the Nevada desert. Under heavy guard, they were led from transport ships to their new quarters. The facility wasn't a traditional prison, but a secure compound where the aliens would live, while humans decided their long-term fate. Admiral Vexthar, now a prisoner of war, stood at the window of his quarters, looking out at the desert landscape. Behind him, the door opened and Ambassador Ixtara entered. "Have you come to gloat?" Vexthar asked without turning around. "No," Ixtara replied. "I came to offer you a chance to understand." The Proximan placed a small device on the table. When activated, it showed holographic images of dozens of worlds across multiple galaxies. "These are the planets the Calaxian Empire has conquered in the last century," Ixtara explained. 12 civilizations enslaved or destroyed. Billions of lives ruined. Vexthar finally turned from the window. "We are warriors. Conquest is our way." "And where has that way led you?" "To defeat and imprisonment, on a world you thought would be an easy conquest." Ixtara stepped closer. "But there is another path. Your people have skills, knowledge, technology that could benefit many worlds, if shared freely rather than imposed by force. You're suggesting we abandon thousands of years of Calaxian tradition?" "I'm suggesting you evolve, Admiral. Just as these humans have evolved. They could have destroyed you, but they chose another way." Ixtara's large eyes seemed to look right through Vexthar. "The question is, Can you choose another way too? 6 months after the failed invasion, Earth had changed forever. The secret of Protocol Omega was now public knowledge. People everywhere knew that aliens existed and that humanity had successfully defended itself against them. In New York City, giant screens in Times Square showed the construction of Harmony Station, a massive space platform being built in Earth orbit. The station used parts from the captured Calaxian ships combined with human and Proximan technology. It would serve as headquarters for Earth's new role in galactic affairs. Lisa Garcia walked through Central Park, enjoying the spring sunshine. 6 months ago, she had been an ordinary diplomat at the United Nations. Now she was Earth's first ambassador to the newly formed Galactic Cooperative, a coalition of species working together for mutual protection and cooperation. Her phone rang. The caller ID showed it was William Foster, the Navy commander who had led Earth's Pacific Defense Grid during the invasion. "Hey, Will," she answered. "Are you ready for tomorrow?" "As ready as I'll ever be," he replied. "How many alien species will be at this meeting again?" 17, Lisa said. "Representatives from worlds that were conquered by the Calaxians or other aggressive empires. They all want to join our alliance." "And they're coming to Earth," Will said, sounding amazed. 6 months ago, most people didn't even believe aliens existed. Now they're coming here for diplomatic meetings. After saying goodbye, Lisa continued her walk. She thought about how quickly things had changed. The day after the Calaxians surrendered, President Harris had addressed the world and revealed the truth. For 60 years, Earth had been secretly preparing for this moment, guided by Proximan refugees who had escaped the destruction of their world. Most people had been shocked at first. There had been protests and conspiracy theories. Some religious groups struggled to accept the existence of alien life. But overall, humanity had adapted quickly to this new reality. In Nevada, at the facility housing the Calaxian prisoners, Admiral Vexthar met with Dr. Alan Price. The alien commander had lost weight during his captivity, and his gray skin had a dull appearance. But his eyes still burned with intensity. "You wanted to see me?" Alan asked, sitting down across from the Admiral. "Yes," Vexthar replied. "I have been thinking about your offer, the one about joining your coalition." Alan raised his eyebrows. The Calaxians had been resistant to the idea of giving up their conquering ways. "And? I want to know more," Vexthar said. "How would it work? What would be expected of my people? Would we be treated as equals or as defeated enemies?" "As equals," Alan assured him. "That's the whole point of the coalition. Every species brings something valuable to the table. The Calaxians have advanced starship technology and knowledge of many galaxies. Those skills would be highly valued." Vexthar clicked his teeth thoughtfully. "Many of my people will resist this change. We have been conquerors for thousands of years. It is our way." "Ways can change," Alan said simply. "Humans have changed many of our ways throughout history. Sometimes change is necessary for survival." The Admiral was silent for a long moment. "I would like to address my crew. If I am to lead them in a new direction, they must hear it from me first." 10 days later, in a historic ceremony broadcast around the world, the first meeting of the Galactic Cooperative took place aboard Harmony Station. The large circular chamber was filled with beings from 17 different worlds. Some looked almost human, while others were completely alien in appearance. President Harris opened the meeting with a speech that was simultaneously translated into 15 different languages. "Welcome to Earth," she said. "1 year ago, none of us knew this moment would be possible. Our worlds were isolated, many of you living under the oppression of the Calaxian Empire or other conquering forces. Today we gather as free peoples with a common goal, to ensure that no species ever suffers conquest again." She gestured to Ambassador Ixtara, who stood nearby. "We owe our freedom to cooperation. When the Proximans came to Earth 60 years ago, they could have tried to fight the Calaxians alone. Instead, they joined forces with humans. Together we created a defense that neither of us could have built alone." The alien representatives murmured in agreement. Many of them had stories of their own worlds being conquered or threatened. "This is the founding principle of our cooperative," the president continued. "Together we are stronger than we are alone. By sharing knowledge, resources, and protective capabilities, we create a future where all our peoples can thrive in peace." After the president's speech, Ambassador Lisa Garcia led the first formal session. Representatives from each world described their unique cultures, technologies, and needs. The goal was to begin the process of understanding how they could help each other. To everyone's surprise, Admiral Vexthar asked to address the gathering. The Calaxian stood before the assembly, his posture rigid but his voice humble. "For 3 centuries my people have been conquerors," he began. "We believed it was our right to take what we wanted from worlds we saw as weaker. We were wrong." A murmur ran through the chamber. No one had expected this from a Calaxian. "Earth taught us a powerful lesson," Vexthar continued. "What appeared to be weakness was actually strength hidden by wisdom. What we thought would be an easy conquest was a carefully laid trap. And when we expected death after our defeat, we were offered a chance for redemption." He looked around the room, meeting the eyes of species his people had once terrorized. "On behalf of those Calaxians who wish to join your cooperative, I offer not just apology but commitment to change. We have skills and knowledge that can benefit all. We know the locations of many conquered worlds that still need liberation. We understand the technologies of the most dangerous empires that remain threats. And we are prepared to help protect rather than conquer." Not all the representatives were convinced. Many had suffered under Calaxian rule. But the offer was too valuable to dismiss outright. After discussion, the cooperative agreed to accept a small delegation of Calaxians who would work to prove their sincerity. Later that evening, Lisa Garcia stood at the observation window of Harmony Station, looking down at Earth. The blue planet seemed both familiar and somehow different now. William Foster joined her at the window. "Quite a view," he said. "It's beautiful," Lisa replied. "And to think we almost lost it." "I still can't believe how much has changed," Will said. 6 months ago we were just hoping to survive an alien invasion. Now we're forming alliances with 17 alien species. 18, Lisa corrected with a smile. The Galactic Council just approved the Calaxian petition to join as probationary members. Will looked surprised. "You think they're sincere? After centuries of conquest?" "I think Vexthar is sincere," Lisa said. "Whether he can convince all his people to change, that remains to be seen." They stood in silence for a moment, watching. Earth turned slowly below them. "What happens next?" Will asked finally. "We start fixing what the Calaxians and others broke," Lisa explained. "There are dozens of worlds that need help rebuilding after occupation. There are species that have been nearly wiped out and need protection. And there are still other aggressive empires out there that might threaten us all." "Sounds like a big job." Lisa nodded. "It is. But we're not alone anymore." 1 year after the failed invasion, Earth had become the heart of something no one could have imagined before. A growing community of worlds working together. The species that had come to conquer had instead become the catalyst for a new era of cooperation. In the vast meeting hall of Harmony Station, representatives from 23 worlds now gathered regularly. Their differences were many, but their common goal united them: to create a future where no world would face the threat of conquest alone. The trap had served its purpose. Earth had survived. And now humanity was ready to step into a larger universe, not as victims or conquerors, but as partners in building something greater than any single species could achieve alone. Earth, once targeted for its apparent weakness, had become the foundation for a new kind of strength, the strength that comes from worlds standing together and